You teach the world how to treat you. Let that sink in. The energy you carry, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk about yourself, it's all communication. People don't just hear what you say, they feel what you believe about you. When I was coming up, I used to think respect came from other people's approval. I thought if I worked hard enough, showed up enough, somebody would notice me, somebody would validate me. But I was wrong. Nobody's going to treat you like you matter until you believe you matter. I had to learn that the hard way. Being that there was a time when I was out here grinding, giving my best, but deep down, I didn't believe I was good enough. I'd speak and the message was powerful, but my energy wasn't. I'd shrink myself because I didn't think I deserved to be in certain rooms. I was waiting for someone else to say, you belong here, but you don't get leadership that way. You don't get respect that way. I had to start walking like I belonged before anyone ever told me I did. I had to carry myself like a man who was already chosen, already worthy. Danger. And I'll be real with you. It wasn't easy. There were days I looked around and felt invisible. I'd pour into people, but nobody poured back into me. I'd speak life into others, but I was starving for my own. That's when I realized the world doesn't mirror your potential. It mirrors your posture. When I started holding my head up, when I stopped apologizing for wanting more, when I demanded more from myself, the world started responding differently. People began to treat me the way I treated myself. I stopped chasing validation and started creating it through my discipline, my consistency, my standard. Lands, you've got to understand, you're teaching every single person how to approach you, how to value you, how to speak to you by what you tolerate, by how you carry yourself, by how you show up. Stop lowering your tone just to be accepted. Stop shrinking your presence just to fit in. When you walk with confidence, not arrogance, but quiet certainty, the energy shifts. People feel it before they even know your name. You want the world to respect you? Start by respecting yourself. Yeah. You want the world to respect you? Then start by respecting yourself. I learned that the hard way. There was a time in my life when I wanted people to see my worth, to recognize my effort, to acknowledge my grind, but I hadn't learned how to keep promises to myself. I'd say I was going to wake up early and then I'd hit snooze. I'd say I was going to commit to the grind, but when it got tough, I'd start making excuses. And I realized something powerful. Every time I broke my own word, I was teaching myself that I couldn't be trusted. You can't lead, you can't grow, you can't build if you don't even believe yourself. There was a point when I was homeless, sleeping in abandoned buildings, and the world didn't respect me. But truth is, I didn't respect me either. I had all this potential, all this drive, but no discipline. I wanted success without structure. I wanted results without routine. And one day I had to look myself in the mirror and admit, you're not losing because you don't have talent. You're losing because you keep quitting on you. That was the shift. That was when I realized respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn through consistency. When I started doing what I said I do, no matter how I felt, everything changed. I didn't need applause anymore. I didn't need validation. I didn't need someone to say, good job. Because I knew when I gave my word, I followed through. That's self-respect. It's built in the dark, in the moments when nobody's watching, when it would be easy to quit and you still choose to keep going. You can't fake that. The world sees it. They feel it. They respond to it. But the truth is, most people want success before self-respect. They want results without integrity. But if your character doesn't match your goals, you'll lose everything you build. Respect isn't about how loud you talk. It's about how solid you are when it gets quiet. When you honor your own standards, people start to trust you, follow you, believe in you. Because you're not just talking, you're living it. Mind, if you want respect from the world, earn it from yourself first. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. People look at me now and think I always had this fire, this energy, this conviction. But let me tell you something real. I didn't. There was a time when I was quiet, unsure, doubting myself at every turn. I used to look at other people and think they had something I didn't. Like they were just made for greatness and I wasn't. But the truth is, I just hadn't built my confidence yet. I hadn't gone through enough do it anyway moments to earn it. When I was younger, I'd make excuses. I'd say, I'm not ready or I'm not good enough yet. I'd wait for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, the perfect version of me. And that moment never came. I had to learn that confidence comes after the action, not before it. The first time I spoke publicly, I was nervous. My voice was shaking. My palms were sweating. But I did it anyway. And the second time, it got easier. The third time, I found my rhythm. Every time I pushed past that fear, I earned a little more belief in myself. That's how confidence is built, one uncomfortable rep at a time. I remember sleeping in abandoned buildings, feeling like my life had no direction. I didn't have money. I didn't have connections. I didn't have status. But every day I told myself, show up. I didn't have confidence, but I had effort. And through that effort, confidence was born. The more I kept promises to myself, the more I proved to myself that I could be trusted to show up and finish. That's what most people don't get. You don't need to feel ready to start. You just need to start. And confidence is a byproduct of doing the hard things over and over until they no longer scare you. It's the muscle you build by doing what others avoid. The people you admire aren't fearless. They just train themselves not to let fear be the driver. When I finally understood that, I stopped waiting for confidence to find me. I went out and top built it day by day, failure by failure, until I believed in who I was becoming. Man, you don't need to feel confident to begin. You need to begin to feel confident. Identity drives behavior. You can't act like a champion while thinking like a victim. You can't expect to win when your mindset still tells you're not supposed to be in the game. I had to learn that my life didn't change when I got more money or more followers or more opportunities. It changed when I started to see myself differently. For the longest time, I carried the label of the kid who didn't have a father, the one who dropped out, the one who wasn't supposed to make it. And because I believed that story, I lived it. Every decision I made came from that identity. I didn't push too hard because deep down I thought, this is all I'm worth. There was a season in my life where I was working, but I wasn't growing. I was moving, but not progressing. And it hit me. I wasn't failing because I didn't have potential. I was failing because I didn't believe I could become more than my past. My behavior matched the story I kept telling myself. I was still living in the shadows of what I used to be instead of stepping into who I was becoming. I had to start talking different. I had to start thinking different. I had to stop calling myself a dropout and start calling myself a leader. I had to stop saying I can't and start saying I will. The moment I changed my language, I changed my life. I remember waking up one morning and saying, no more excuses, no more blaming where I came from. That day, I made a decision to rewrite my identity. I wasn't broken. I was building. I wasn't lost. I was learning. And once I started to believe that, my actions followed. I got up earlier. I trained harder. I studied more. I showed up with energy because I finally believed I was capable of greatness. And that's what I want you to understand. Your habits follow your self-image. If you keep seeing yourself as small, you'll never act big. But if you start believing you're built for more, you'll move different, talk different, work different. Men says, the way you see yourself will always determine how far you go. Change the identity and the behavior will follow. Every morning, when I look in the mirror, I remind myself, this is your competition. Not him, not her, not anybody out there. You ride a person staring back at you is the only one you have to beat. And that wasn't always my mindset. For years, I wasted energy comparing myself to people who were ahead of me. I'd look at their success and start doubting mine. I'd scroll through, see someone doing what I wanted to do, and I start feeling like I was behind. But what I didn't realize was that the moment you start comparing, you lose focus on your own race. You can't win your lane while staring into someone else's. There was a time when I was broke, struggling, and angry at the world. I used to ask, why not me? Why are they making it and I'm not? But I had to be honest with myself. I wasn't doing what they were doing. I wasn't putting in the same level of work, consistency, or sacrifice. I wanted results without responsibility. I had to face that man in the mirror and admit, you're not doing your part. That conversation with myself was uncomfortable, but it was necessary. From that day on, I stopped competing with people who didn't live my life and started competing with the version of me that wasted time, that gave up too early, that talked more than he worked. Man, the truth is the hardest person you'll ever have to lead is you. Every day, you've got to challenge your old habits, your lazy tendencies, your comfort zone. You've got to wake up and say, yesterday's effort isn't enough today. That's how you grow. That's how you lead. I remember getting up at 10 a.m., grinding when nobody was watching, and not because I wanted to prove something to others, but because I refused to be the same man I was the day before. That hunger to outwork my past self changed everything. And I'll tell you this, the mirror doesn't lie. It shows you who you really are, not who you pretend to be. So stop trying to outshine others and start outgrowing yourself. The competition isn't out there. It's in the reflection staring back at you. And before you can lead anybody else, you've got to learn how to lead yourself. That's where real leadership starts. Not on a stage, not with a title, not with a crowd clapping your name, but in the quiet moments when nobody's watching. I had to learn that leadership wasn't about being in charge of people. It was about being in charge of faz me delight, my emotions, my discipline, my attitude, my habits. Because if you can't master those, you'll never be consistent enough to lead anyone anywhere. Mendesam with the time, and Lena, there was a time in my life when I was all talk. I wanted to inspire others, but I couldn't even control my own mornings. I'd sleep in, procrastinate, and still wonder why nothing was changing. I want to be a leader, but I was living like a follower, reacting to life instead of commanding it. The truth hit me one day. I was asking people to follow a version of me that I didn't even respect. I had to take responsibility for everything, my time, my effort, my discipline. Nobody was come fix my habits. Nobody was going to pull me out of bed. Leadership started the moment I decided to stop waiting and start acting. Man, I remember being broke, frustrated, and angry, not just at the world, but at myself. I kept saying I wanted to change, but my actions didn't match my words. I had to learn to lead through self-control. When things went wrong, I had to stop blaming others and start asking, what can I do differently? That's when everything shifted. I stopped reacting with emotion and started responding with purpose. I began to understand that people don't follow what you say. They follow what you show. And let me tell you, when you get your life in order, when you start leading with example instead of excuses, people feel it. Yeah, they trust you. They listen because they can see your consistency. They can feel your authenticity. Real leadership is not about power. It's about presence. It's about the discipline to do what's right, even when nobody sees it. Leaders, if you want to lead others, start by mastering yourself, because until you can follow your own direction, no one else will.